It's Justin Scoop on Thursday, December 11th, 2025, and we're looking at SPX. So, where I left things yesterday is futures were down a bit, even contending below the purple line here as things would have moved on SPX at the open. And instead, we rallied pre-market or overnight and into pre-market and actually gapped up from that point where I was making the video right around midnight, Wednesday night, Central Time. So it's a gap down from where we closed and opened up pretty much right on the midline here, which is phenomenal. We've actually got to move back up and close nicely, closing above the midline. We're really close to all-time highs. Maybe, hey, maybe we'll just go there, which I remember saying back over here and probably said something about over here. Anyway, had some choppiness, but actually we rallied nicely. So if we look through here, the 3 minute. So there was some weakness that came in. We ran hard into the 100 and just fell. And it's like, okay, futures are right. We're going lower. I put that as the title, in my video last night. What goes up must come down. There were some things coming down with the move. But once we got down here, we rallied right on through the 100, chopped back down to it. Looked like we were going to go down again. Nope, we're just really consolidating. So if you kind of squint, this becomes a really nice uh, triangle, symmetric triangle, broke out, retested really nicely, retesting kind of like the apex. I drew this a little cleaner. Let's do that. This is a little steeper, something like that. And this one, there you go, right into the apex. Maybe I just skewed it that way. Nice retest, great retest. We're not trading the 100, not bouncing the 100. We actually put in this really great pattern and just rallied off of there. We kept pulling into some lows here at the 100 or at the 21, and that just continued to have us trend higher throughout the afternoon, and then ultimately just kind of got a little too far up. And if I keep extending this, we really channeled afternoon and then just ultimately broke down that a little bit, had some choppiness into the close, and we're just riding high in the day. So that's the framework. I'm going to take a screenshot of that because that's a cool picture of how things kind of move today. So I think I'll make that the thumbnail. Just give me just a sec to grab that. Yeah, really nice movement today. Okay, I'm gonna get the drawing tool back on. So with that framework, I'm gonna get rid of this and we're gonna go zoom out and hopefully make this quick. So with that framework of that kind of consolidation here, I'll put that back in a little steeper. Come on, like this. We had something similar happen with these levels here. I skewed that one like that. But instead, this was going lower between these two higher lows here. We are actually making lower lows here on the 68.75 all. But we still did the same thing where we broke out, retested, just not into an apex on the call, and then rallied from there. What I really like about this is we basically had some relative lows right here as these lows were coming in and making higher lows or relative lows there. We were making relative lows on the call. We were so the strike I'm looking at is the 68.75. So we were in the money quite a bit. That also helps. It's not out of the money. Um, where you usually do have a lot more value getting pulled out. That's probably the situation here is we were just out of the money. And so any type of pullback is going to suck more premium out of the option as it's doing those moves. So now if we kind of draw the opposite on the put, this got, come on, there we go. Something like that. There was some consolidation here. Okay. Breakdown, retest, very similar, just inverted. And then this breakdown again as this was rallying. And then we had a high here, made a slightly lower high here. And that totally makes sense because now the put is out of the money. The put is not going to regain as much value as it's moving down here. Um, we're just going to kind of run into, we're going to run into a lower level there. as we're trying to push back down, and it's just not going to go. So we kind of start stepping down. So now here's the next lower high, somewhat of a retest to this level, and it's just showing that, hey, this is going down at the same time that we're trending up here and trending up here. And that's what you want to see in the options. This is, I don't think I mentioned 6,900 put, and then, like I said, the 68.75 call. Um, and yeah, even into the close, like it's, or into late in the afternoon, we came down much further. That was the high we were putting in here. And then we actually were chopping quite a bit all through here going sideways. And that's reflected really well on the put. Then actually got a really nice move there. It actually, as this more quickly broke down from the 21, which it had been holding all this time, all afternoon basically, broke down from there. There was a really nice rally. And then it gave it all up because it looked like we were going to start to do a little more pullback, maybe into the 100. But then we had some really nice, strong bull candles come in right here at the end of the day. And that sucked all of the premium out of anything that had gotten into those puts at that point, and or was still in those puts, I should say, because the 1600 was in the money the majority of the day. A little bit here and a little bit here, not so much. But yeah, that's kind of how things moved. That's looking at the different options, that's balancing out. If you're looking for an option that's a little more affordable than these, you have to go further out of the money. So probably the 6,900 call would have worked nicely. And looking for some of those, let's go do that. Let's go look at that and just see how different was that. So if I look at 6,900 call, a lot more choppiness. Oh, careful. A lot more choppiness. Didn't get running as quickly or as far for sure, but stayed much more affordable price wise. So obviously this, you could have been buying this around 0.5. So getting into a few of those, or at least get into two and do that as absolute zero. Just that's all you're risking. Get two of those, buy at 0.5. And, that's just going to run here. And this is more of like a channel setup at this point where it's, well, not quite a channel. It chopped down further, but uh, let's see. Would not have worked to buy at 150 maybe here. Um, this low matches up with this low, and then this one made a lower low. So this is losing. So from here to here is actually losing some more value just because the 6,900 strike is way up here. And so because we're out of the money, yeah, we're losing value as we go forward in time on a slight pullback, even though we're making higher lows on SPX. So it's just interesting to see kind of how the different options are moving at different levels. We did then make another higher low here and here. And then we did ultimately take out the highs we were holding here. So if I redraw this, let me clean this up a little bit. So we had kind of some initial levels here that were looking like a channel, just sideways levels. And then we kind of stepped down a little bit. And then we step back up. And I'm going to just draw this like this. So we kind of stepped back up and then we broke out. And then we came all the way back down into the level pretty close to where we're at over here. Uh, so 6,900 call, not the best one to be in throughout the day. Definitely give you some levels to play with. It looks like anytime it made a low, it came back to that low another time. But it did make some new lows. And if you had bought the old low, so let's say you were buying here and your target was here, that wouldn't have worked. So it wasn't the best one to trade. It wasn't giving you movements in the direction of SPX. This is a little too far out of the money. Would give you the nice small option value, but you don't have the movement or the consistency as an option like the 68.75 we're just looking at. So interesting just to compare those and see how things move. And I hope this helps. I think from here, hopefully we'll have some continued move up. Maybe 7,000 is in our future soon. And then zooming out on this channel, oops, we have at this point 7,200 maybe at the top end of the channel. Just depends on when. I mean, we could continue rally there. we've rested quite a bit. Um, if, however, we do end up with any sort of an open, like a gap down and an open below these candles, look out below, probably 675. Close this gap is very likely, maybe even back down to the bottom of the channel. Or I wonder if we'll ever see a candle like this in the same area again. That would be pretty troubling too. So, hope this helps. This is Justin. Thanks.